today what you're getting is me trying on my own first talk. And as a public speaking trainer, and I also identify myself as a courage coach because the two go very much hand in hand, I'm in one of those professions where it's kind of like being a minister. There's certain expectations about walking your talk as a minister, or if you're a sales coach, there's a certain expectation that you be great at sales. And so as a public speaking coach, I'm kind of in that same boat. I feel sometimes, I have my own story about that, that I have to show up in a certain way as a public speaking coach. And so today, I've kind of given myself permission to drop that and be with you in the way that feels really authentic to me without having rehearsed it and gotten everything just perfect and dead on. And I chose to do that both because there's been something brewing in me that's really different than what I've been doing as a public speaking coach. I'm really in this stage of there's percolations happening of what's really more important to me. Well, maybe not necessarily more important to me, but as important to me as what I was doing. And there's a certain principles and concepts that are bubbling up as pieces that, at the end of the day, that's what's important to me. And that's what I want to convey to you today, is pieces of that. And so I ask you, how many of you are confident public speakers already? You just love it. You look forward to the opportunity, and and when you speak, you are full on, fully expressed. How many of you that's you? How many of you think that's you? Sometimes. How many of you would like to have a little bit more sense of that? Yes, thank you. So again, I'm Dinah Snow, and what I'm going to be talking with you today about is summoning, accessing the courage to speak, and speaking in a way that empowers you to be your authentic self, because that's really where the power is. The power is not in saying all the right things and doing all the right things and moving to the right place at the right time. You're going to have to chase me a little bit, Corey, because I move. It's really more of your power comes from owning all of yourself as you are, the bumps and the bruises, as well as the brilliance and the magnificence that you bring. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. There's a couple things that I want to make sure that I cover with you so that you walk out of here having a better understanding of yourself and where you're at, as well as steps to start taking your place in your own body with your own power and speaking with your own voice in a way that is authentic and courageous. And when you come to that place, you become much more magnetic, much more attractive to people, and selling becomes easier. And I say selling because when you are speaking as part of your marketing mix, are you or are you not marketing and promoting yourself? You are. You are. And so I bring up that four-letter S word because the truth is that you are there to share your message and you're there to grow your business. It's both. And there is a way to marry both the savvy of speaking, the savvy of using the stage to grow your business. There's a marriage that happens between that and your authenticity and your purpose-driven message. And so a couple things I want to make sure that we cover today are the role speaking plays in your marketing mix, right? And what your #1 priority should be when you speak. And we're also going to cover the 5 speaking archetypes. I think in the write-up on this, I said 4, and as I got to really thinking about it, I realized there's a 5th, and maybe even more, because this is, as I said, this is a new thing that's percolating for me, and so I wanted to capture it in some sort of context that we can reflect upon and understand. And then I also want to cover the role courage plays in stepping into that authenticity, peeling off the layers so that people get to see the real you. And if time allows, I'm going to do a little bit of a demo with someone who's very courageous. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's you. Okay, so thanks for being here. That's a beautiful day. You could have been out going for a walk today. You chose to spend it here. I want to acknowledge you for that and the time that you're taking to meet other fabulous women and grow your business and learn from each other. My commitment to you is to give you the best I can in the time that we have. I'll let you know before I'm done about other resources that you may want to look into if they seem like they're the right next step for you. If you want to be able to speak with more of that confidence and courage, I'll let you know about other resources before I'm done. So since we're going to be spending a little bit of time together, is it okay if I tell you a tad bit about me? Okay. It is really, you know, they say that you teach what you need to learn. And that could not be more true than my own story. I'm not going to give you the whole epic version. I'm going to give you the really condensed Cliff Notes version. But what I remember from my childhood, or before I get there, let me just back up and say that I am a junkie for busting through limitations. If there's something in front of me that I'm scared of, I feel that like oh shit, I got to do something about this. If it's something that I feel called for, that's going to serve me in some way. So I'm one of those junkies that I'll keep jumping in the fire no matter how scared I am, but it hasn't always been that way. And when I was a kid, the main message I remember from my childhood, there's some people I haven't quite connected with back there. The main message that I remember from my childhood is my mother telling me to stop whining. Does anybody have something like that they remember vividly from childhood? There's usually something for some of us. And we all make our messages from childhood mean different things. Someone else could have interpreted that one way, but what I interpreted that as, don't speak up, don't ask for what you want. What I have to say isn't important, right? No matter how much I talk about it, it's still there. You know, our childhood rawness is still there. And it's been the greatest teacher for me because my whole life has been this uncovering and letting go of that story of what I have to say isn't worthwhile or whatever I make that mean in the moment, because it does change from moment to moment sometimes. But as a result, I ended up being a singer, a professional singer. I was a vocal coach for many years. I still do a bit of vocal coaching when people come to me. I don't really market it, but I still do that sometimes. I sing in big productions in front of huge audiences. And I still go through the same fear that I always did. I still get stage fright. But I still do it anyway because of the freedom that's on the other side and what happens in my life as a result. And I did a lot of public speaking. And so now I've come to this place where I'm actually helping other people do the same thing. So it's ironic that we have these things happen in our life that actually feed us, that feed where we are today. And what I do now with my time is I empower women entrepreneurs to speak as part of their marketing mix, but do it in a way that is authentic, that is in service of their audience, and that grows their business in a way that has the business savvy component to it. And to have the back set for the rest of our conversation today, there's a great quote by Bob Proctor. In the face of, this isn't what he's saying, but I'm the context of what he said, but in the face of all the video and the social media and the technology, that nothing will ever replace face-to-face marketing, especially if you are earning $75,000 a year or less. And that's just kind of the threshold. Until you cross that threshold, this is it. We want to connect. We want to see people so that we know them, we like them, and we trust them. And the 3 top ways to do that are through speaking as part of your marketing mix, networking, and leads or referrals. We need that face-to-face. When you get beyond that 75K figure, then you can start using more and more of the social media. And I know there's going to be people who disagree with me on that. You can do that all now, but let 80% of your efforts be with the face-to-face connection, because that's where we see each other. So, and it's the place that we're also the most fearful, are we not? Are we afraid to pick up the phone sometimes? Well, that's even not even face-to-face, but even still, picking up the phone and talking to somebody is hard. But the face-to-face, we show up with all our bumps and bruises. So, why do we fear that the most? Well, when you step on stage or when other people are listening to you, it's as if all of a sudden there's this big magnifying glass and it's like right on you and everybody is looking and oh my gosh, they're going to see this and they're going to see that and they're going to see these thoughts that are going on in my mind about my fears and doubts and my inadequacies. They get blown up. And so it makes sense that when we get in front of people that we have these trials and tribulations. And some of us feel, I'll speak about myself and then I'll talk about some of my clients I work with. Some of us feel called to be on the stage or feel called to, when I say stage, I mean speak to one-to-many. It doesn't necessarily mean being on a stage. But some of us feel a calling, a pull, like there's something in us that has to get expressed, that other people need to hear, that our message has meaning in the grander scheme of things. So we feel this pull, and we're willing to go through the discomfort of peeling the layers off and being seen. And then there's other people who feel a push, right? So there's some people are coming from the position of my business sucks. I can't get the clients in my door. I'm going to have to close the doors and get a job. They're feeling pushed into these situations where they're uncomfortable. And neither one is right or wrong or good or bad. We just all come from different places. And to honor that we're coming from different places in our attempts to serve people and to grow our business at the same time. And the paradox is, do we step out here and risk being seen, right? Or do we keep the coat of protection on, thinking we're going to be safer that way? And that's the illusion. That's the illusion that we have to let go of. Because ultimately, keeping on the coat of armor, the shield, in the long run doesn't get us what we want. And here's what we want. Anybody want to guess? When your first priority when you're speaking is to connect. We want to connect. But the thing is, we can't genuinely connect if we're not being fully authentic. We can go through the motions, but it's not necessarily going to connect. And to connect with authenticity takes courage. So that's the context of today, is that to be able to establish that initial connection with people, we have to be authentic. And that's where the courage comes in. And I love what Anais Nin, is that how you pronounce her name? Anais, anybody know? Anais. Life shrinks or expands according to one's courage. And I found that to be incredibly true. The more I step through my comfort zone, the more expansion that's available in my life. So I want to cover the 5 archetypes, the 5 speaking archetypes that I see. And they're archetypes of protection mechanisms. And it felt important for me to identify these because I think each of us takes on different strategies to keep our coat on, to keep our protection on. And it helps to kind of see them and look at them so that we can have much more choice around them. And that just so happens that they almost all start with P. But there's the prover. And these are just archetypes. They're not people. They're just archetypes. And the prover in us wants to be seen as expert, special. We want to be positioned. We want to be seen as really important. And because of that, we do things like drop names, or credentials are important to us, or let's see. Oh, provers tend to be like a little bit more loud, a little bit more talkative, and their energy is much more one-way focused. And that energy focus, the energy focus is outward. There's less give and take energy with the prover. And then there's the pleaser. The pleaser. The pleaser is the one who wants to be liked and accepted more than anything. And this person, this speaker, whether it's the context of speaking like this or in a networking environment, will tend to lose control of their time on the stage. They'll lose control of where the energy is going. They'll kind of cave into what the audience is doing and lose their power up here. And it's all in that attempt to please, to let someone have the voice, and then they have it. It's harder to pull that back, harder to take back their power. They may try to be funny, but they often miss the mark because they're trying to be just the right way. Okay. Now, as I'm going, if you see yourself in any of these, please be compassionate with yourself. I see myself, a little bit of myself in every one of them. So it's just awareness to go, oh, I'm protecting myself there. Isn't that sweet? So the pleaser, and then there's the pusher. So the pusher, their agenda is about getting. They generally will have things very well scripted out, so much so that the opportunity for in the moment real engagement isn't there. And boy, I had an experience of this recently. Of course, I'm not going to say where it was, but there was a speaker who was giving a sales pitch, and I didn't know the speaker was going to be giving a sales pitch. And the energy of it was completely one way, and it was all about them. So the pusher tends to be all about them, features focused, not necessarily how they're serving, the value that they're adding to someone's life. This is a danger with, I hate to say it, but with network marketing. This is a real danger with network marketing because a lot of network marketers haven't been taught the skills of connecting and focusing on the right things. And so I really, when I'm working with network marketers, this becomes a real one that we really pick apart, peel away. All right, the fourth one is the protector. This is me. The protector is concerned with doing things the right way. Not because they want to please everybody, because it's the right way and they're protecting their image and we want to be seen as professional, and yet really it's a protection mechanism, just like everything else is for the doubts and fears that we have. And the protector, they may take a little longer to warm up to people, but really they want to check things out and make sure it's a safe space to do that before they really open up all the way. And then there's the apologizer. Okay, the apologizer wants to not be rejected. Well, that's kind of a different way of putting it, but they want to not be rejected. And the apologizer will tend to show up making excuses. If they don't have a great elevator speech, or they don't talk about what they do in a way, you know, they're making excuses for it, or and they're embarrassed about it, they'll make apologies. And the apology will show up not only verbally sometimes, but also in the body language. Or this way, or, you know, this way. It's really discrediting who they are. They're discrediting their own power, apologizing for their own power leaking out in so many different ways. So, and keep in mind that these are all just our coping mechanisms. That's all they are. And underneath, when I'm speaking, you know, one of the things I always try to remember is that everybody out there in the audience is a human being that has had trials and tribulations, and everybody poops, and everybody farts, and everybody blows their nose, and everybody has loss of loved ones. We are all so fragile, and yet so resilient at the same time. And we're all just doing our thing to feel safe, right? To manage our fear. And so now we're at this place where, you know, what do we do about that? So we've seen some of the places where we do some of these things, perhaps. Can anybody see a bit of yourself in one or more of these? Yes? Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about courage and what courage is. Courage comes from the French word heart. And courage is, if you want it, like a specific definition, ability to disregard fear or bravery. And I like to think of it in terms of to take purpose-driven action. So we don't just run across the train track when a train is coming. Just kids do that because that's stupid courage. That's just like, that's not the kind of courage I'm talking about. That's daring, right? And there's some danger in that. Courage is more about something that you do because you're honoring a value. You're honoring a value. You're either moving toward a value or you're moving away from something in honor of a value. If you think of someone who walks out of an abusive marriage, right? It takes courage to do that. They're moving toward the value of they're going to love themselves, right? And then there's other people who maybe have the opposite. They're scared to death of getting married or something to that effect, and they're moving toward something that scares them, and it's the courage to do that. So that's the kind of courage I'm talking about. And so it takes practice to build this muscle of courage. It doesn't happen all of a sudden. We have, as you know, we are all, I'm looking out on the audience here, I'd say most of us are midlife women. That over time, we keep discovering more and more places in our lives where, oh gosh, darn it, better muster up some courage to deal with that thing that's showing up right now. So we're all on this path. But it takes a lot of courage and muscle development to be willing to be seen and heard and known, both for the scars as well as for our brilliance. And I'll tell you what, we are much more comfortable letting our scars be seen than our brilliance. After working with a lot of people over the last couple of years, singers and speakers, it's tough for us to own our brilliance. So it's not always all about the dark side that we're letting show. What's that quote by Marianne Williamson? Yes.
Not our life that we're left to do.
Exactly. Who are we? Well, who are? Let's see. Whatever. Who are we not to be brilliant gorgeous, talented, and fabulous. Yeah. So courage, I just want to make a distinction between courage and confidence, because sometimes those words are used interchangeably and they're not the same. A lot of people want to feel more confident, but confidence comes after you've done something courageous, usually. You have to go through something to get the feeling of confidence 80% of the time. Now, I know there's a lot of mind work and there's a lot of hypnotherapy and a lot of modalities out there now where people can get the feeling of confidence without having to go through something. But the majority of time, we're in real time. And we're in real life, and stuff happens every moment. And so every moment, you've got something to look at and open up about. And so you can't do mind powers every moment. You got to have some courage to step through. So courage is that willingness to do something in spite of fear and actually doing it in spite of fear. Confidence is what comes after. That's the fruits of it. So there's 5 stages of courage, which I'm not going to get into today. But two of those stages involve deciding and acting, right? Deciding and acting. And yes, there are times when our body and our mind just all of a sudden do it. We have this instinct to run into a burning building to save a child who's stuck in there. That's a courageous act, but it's instantaneous. Our instinct kicks in. But more often than not, when we're just out about doing our life, doing business, we have much more time and consciousness around it. So if there's something that you're kind of thinking, maybe I want to do that. I think I do want to speak as part of my marketing mix, or I do need to get out there and pitch my business to investors. It's like there's things you have to do. And so there's this time frame in which all this stuff gets mulled over in your gut and in your mind, and you play things out. But then there comes a decision, and there comes action. And action is when what's in your head becomes manifest. And then you have a real experience that you have to reflect back on. So the foundation of being able to speak with power and authenticity and build your profitability from that foundation comes from the congruence between what's going on in your mind and body and what gets conveyed outward. And that's where your story comes into play. Your whole life story combined with what your mission is, right? And it's really about turning your messes into your message. And I won't claim ownership for that. That's a Suzanne Evans saying, but it's so beautiful because it's true. Like me, my background was I shut myself up, but that became my message. And we all have something like that we can land on and actually be a very powerful platform from which to take courageous action. And in that, in sharing your message, you get to show your humanity. And what happens when you show your humanity, your realness, is that the audience out there, whether it's an audience of many or an audience of one, is that they get a sense of relatability with you. They know that you're human. They know that you've got your messes and your screw-ups as well as your accomplishments. And because of that, they can find themselves in that relationship. If that person is human and they're showing their humanness to me, then I can show that. And that's where the connection starts to happen. How many of you feel rock solid on your elevator speech and love to stand up and say it? One. Ooh. Great. Okay. How many of you stumble over it? Yeah, and you go, oh God, I hate this. Here it comes, man. Shit. I can't listen to anybody else because I'm over here rehearsing it in my mind and I want to get it just right. So So raise your hands again. How many is that you? How many, raise them up high. Oh, such an opportunity here. So someone who doesn't normally say yes to volunteering, willing to volunteer today. It's a great opportunity. I'm going to count to 5, count down from 5, and I'm going to have someone magically appear right here to be a great expression of humanity. And we're going to hold your hand and walk you through something. 5, 4, excellent. Woohoo! Let's give, what's your name?
Allison.
Allison, let's give Allison a huge round of applause.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Now,
Yes.
here's,
Oh, she's really going to hold my hand.
I am going to hold her hand. So, I know they're cold.
That's good.
Warm
all of a sudden
heart.
got really hot.
So let's take a breath together. You guys can take a breath too. All right. Now,
Okay.
this is all about you showing your brilliance and maybe a little bit of your mess,
Okay.
if it shows up. It may or may not. It's okay. Anytime you feel like you need to ground yourself or you feel like you want to come back to center, hold your hands together like this
Okay.
and take a breath.
Okay.
All right. I'm sorry, Allison?
Yes.
Allison. So all of you out there are going to hold a hugely compassionate space for her. And I don't want to make this out like it's going to be a huge thing. It might end up not being a huge thing. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But let's see if we can get in touch with the truth about why you do what you do.
Okay.
Okay. So, and from that place, I'll bet you become, tell me first what you say to people when you're new here. What would you say?
I am a social media strategist and small business coach. I work primarily with solo entrepreneurs and very small businesses, 10 or fewer employees.
Okay.
I don't do the follow-up part of that, which I know is to explain why I do what I do and how it
It's
benefits
okay.
them.
See, she's apologizing. And it's okay.
Well, I was acknowledging that I don't do that part. So.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Now, this may take a little bit of time, so I understand it's 1 o'clock. If some people need to leave, that's totally fine.
And I won't take it personally. So.
Okay. And I'm going to get real drill in real quick.
Okay.
And I ask different questions of different people, so this is just one way to do it. So in your field, what pisses you off?
What pisses me off?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Don't think about it too much.
Yeah.
Just first thing.
First thing, I really like what I do. I don't know that there's a lot.
Not you, but like other people who do what you do, or, you know, what pisses you off about, you know?
When people mislead folks around the implementation piece, that you can't just set up social strategies and not implement them. There has to be follow-through. There has to be an explanation to your client of really why this is benefiting them.
Okay, so the misleading.
Yeah.
Would you mind holding your hands down here? Thank you. So, so tell me, Allison, what breaks your heart about this?
About this. I have started several small businesses of my own. I used to have a bakery. I've had a small children's clothing business. And I have seen both my own businesses in the past really struggle. I've watched other people, particularly women, struggle with that piece. And when they have been given information that's really not accurate and, in fact, downright wrong, it results in really disastrous effects sometimes. That breaks my heart when people lose a business or really start to see their business fail because they've been given bad information.
Okay, good, thank you. And what about your field or what you do is worth fighting for?
It's fun. It is a way for small businesses to engage in marketing that at a level that they might not otherwise be able to afford. You know, some of the larger advertising opportunities aren't available to small businesses with small or virtually no budget. So it's an opportunity for them to play with some of the big boys and see some results.
Okay, and so what are the results for them?
Getting their message out, creating awareness of who they are, what they do.
What does that do for them?
Hopefully it increases the bottom line. It gives them some sense of expertise in the community or with whatever their market is.
Okay, good. Did you get a better sense of knowing her just then when she dropped some of this? It's not so much the words even. She's still kind of intellectualizing here, right? We could do more to get to the heart of it for you. What is it about you? Like, what's your come from about this?
Come from?
Yeah, like my come from is that it is really important to me that people be seen and heard and known because of my own experience.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. So is there a come from in there of what's your story, your history that makes this so important to you?
Yeah, I'm a single mom, and I have been a single mom for a number of years, and so for me there's been a financial struggle. I don't receive child support at this point, so having not had both financial support and over the years not always feeling like I had any kind of support really to get where I needed to go in getting a business off the ground and making a living for myself and my daughter. So that's my come from.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, if we were working more in depth on this, we would really go there, because that's where she started to become real. She had a personal story. That's probably who her ideal client is, too.
In many respects, yeah.
Yeah. They're probably single moms or working moms that are trying to get their business off the ground and they feel unsupported. And you're going to take care of them because you frickin' know what it's like to have the rug pulled out from under you and have nobody taking care of you in that way. That's the power that's going to come through. That gets me choked up. So when you play with, and think of this as play, this is really not like a chore or hard work. When you're introducing yourself, she's pretty intense about it right now. She's pretty serious, but there's a way to convey that in a way that's going to be warm. It's just what is. This is your real experience, and there's no defense of it. There's no, covering it up. It's just, gosh, your experience was it was hard. And when she comes from that real place, is she going to be much more connectable and authentic and engaging with people? Yes? Yes. So this is a very tiny example, but let's give Allison a huge round of applause. Thank you. Because look, people will forget what you tell them, but they will remember how you made them feel. They may remember a little bit about what you told them, but they're more going to remember how you made them feel. And they're only going to get that with you being real, with you being authentic. So it's a little bit after 1. Boy, I stuck pretty close to the time for a first time running through a talk. Whew, usually the first time through it's like way over. So we're just so much scratching the surface on this. You can kind of see there's a really richness that's available here. There's a couple things that I want to extend to you. I promise I'll let you know about what other resources there might be for you. If this makes sense to you, if it feels like a style that resonates with you, over here I've got some ways to get some free gifts from me. One is, it's a little tutorial I put together on the top 10 profit-sinking mistakes speakers make and what to do instead. I know some of you have some things coming up. You might want to choose to say yes to that. There's also an MP3 recording of a teleseminar I did a while back called Clearing the Obstacles to Public Speaking Success. Both the practical obstacles, the doing part, as well as some of the mindset and the body stuff that comes up, how our bodies sort of reveal our goings-on in the mind. So there's a couple things there. You can also sign up to get my monthly Speak with Heart toolkit, and I do give a lot of content on those, and one of the things I'm very proud of is that people email me and talk to me all the time about how they actually read my stuff, because it's good. So I'm going to own that, by golly. And then the other thing that I want to offer to you is a 30-minute speaking breakthrough strategy session with me. So if you are feeling pulled or pushed to speak is part of your marketing mix and you want to sort of clear the clutter around that of what might be going on or what might be blocking you, that's a great opportunity for us to figure out what that is, because I can tell you, you've probably had experience like this of your own, is that we're too close to our nose to see our own crap sometimes, or we believe our own crap. And so it's a nice reality check from a third party who kind of knows what to look for. And then also part of that is kind of learning some of the behind the scenes things that go on that make a presentation much more influential, impactful, and profitable. The pragmatic stuff as well as the mindset and the being set that goes along with that. So I have a couple speaking gigs coming up in the next few weeks. I have a limited number of spots that I can do that with. So I can take about 9 people in the next couple of weeks. So if you want to sign up for that, that is right here. And that's pretty much it for the talk. I want to leave you with just one thought. That the next time you are speaking at the front of the room like this, or next time you're networking, or you're talking to a referral or a lead, is to summon that courage to be real, to reveal some of yourself, for them to reveal some of their self. Because wherever you get stopped, they're going to get stopped. And I'll tell you, if you're in a sales conversation or a complimentary session with someone, you have to be able to get them to their pain point so that so they can see it and see what it's doing in their life. But for you to get there, you have to be that too. You have to show them some of your own stuck points, reveal your own humanity so they feel safe in doing that. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay. So thank you so much. I appreciate the warm space for me to try out my new talk. I didn't feel like I had to be perfect or anything. That was cool. So thanks.